For today's cup of coffee, I'm going to try some new tech stuff, so if I ass it up, that wouldn't surprise anyone. Writing solo today. Kid's got a migraine again. I think he forgot to take his medicines this morning, so prayers for him if you would. I found an article today that came out in, the Daily Mail. And experts are on red alert for mega quake off of the U.S. coast after discovering a crack in the 600-mile-long fault line at the bottom of the Pacific. Because let's have a little more fear porn. Anyhow, they're saying that this, I will include, I've got a ton of links for you. But basically what they're saying is that this fault line is 600 miles long and that they've known about it, since 2015, but that there's some kind, and it's been bubbling, and they think that now that there is a chemically distinct liquid that they're describing could be fault lubricant, as far as tectonic plates and all that stuff. So, they don't know. They're saying that this would actually is not near San Andreas. Let's see if I can find out which one that it is. There was actually one that I could say. This is what happens when I try to not print things out. This is why I print things out. It's the Cascadia subduction zone. And it says it's from Northern California into Canada. And so they're hoping this is not going to cause some ginormous earthquake out there, but they don't know. That's the key to this. They don't know. And this gave me an opening to discuss some of the things that happened prior to the year 2000. There were a lot of interesting prophecies, predictions, all that stuff that came into being. And what is on the screen right now is one of Michael Scallion's maps. I'm trying to do slideshow. It's a new feature. I did a YouTube search on this. And this was something Gordon Michael Scallion was featured on Art Bell quite a few times, discussing some of his Doomsday prophecies. And he claimed that he had been given visions of these things and based some of this stuff on Edgar Cayce readings. Well, if you go to the Edgar Cayce website, and like I said, I'll give you a link for all that, part of this says less than 20% of the more than 14,000 Cayce readings actually discuss physical earth changes, and said oftentimes these are the very readings that have been quoted out of context or have been proved to be inaccurate. A lot of Cayce's readings was almost like the ones by Nostradamus, which you can make them into anything in the world because they are so obscure, and people have done that and do that. It says that the question to which Cayce was actually responding that dealt with changes, those were expected to happen in 1934. But people, they'll read headlines, they don't look into anything else, they don't study for themselves. It says that the readings also pinpointed 1936 as a year of major change, and that the reading suggested that the world change entailed the breaking up of powers in terms of world affairs, and people took that as the actual nations themselves physically breaking up. And there was an interesting article that I am going to include also that was from Forbes from 2017 that does talk about how some of these doomsday maps and stuff, and even though the time frame that they gave came and went, we do have some of these billionaires that have been buying up vast swaths of land. And I'm sure that everybody has heard of all this. And one of the things that Scallion had predicted supposedly was a 20 to 45 degree polar shift. Now, I don't know exactly what that would do. In this report, whoever the reporter was, talked to somebody at NASA who had said that many doomsday theorists have tried to take this natural geological occurrence and suggest that it could lead to Earth's destruction. They were talking about an asteroid at this point, and said, but would there be any dramatic effects? And says the answer from the geological and fossil records that we have from hundreds of past magnetic polarity reversals seems to be no. There is nothing in the millions of years of geologic record to suggest that any of the doomsday scenarios connect to a pole reversal that should be taken seriously. So that was one expert. And then there was another one that was an expert in planetary geology at the University of California, Davis. And he had said that predictions of earthquakes causing a planetary shift and coastal flooding, for the most part, is nonsense. But he did say that it is far more likely that an asteroid hit could cause a polar shift. So that's almost contradictory. Was it a yes or a no that this is going to be catastrophic? Now, as far as some of the richest families buying up massive amounts of farmland, and this is all across the world, it says that the property is far away from coastal areas and in locations conducive to self-survival farming and coal mining. Maybe that's why they don't want other people using the coal. I don't think that's going to run out anytime soon. And they're saying billionaires such as John Malone, this was written, I think, in 2017, that at that point he owned 2,200,000 acres in Wyoming and Colorado. Ted Turner owned 2 million acres in Montana, Nebraska, New Mexico, and North Dakota. Philip Anschultz, I think that's how you pronounce that, 434,000 acres in Wyoming. Jeff Bezos, $400,000 in Texas, 400,000 acres in Texas. Stan, I knew how to pronounce this earlier. Kroenke, and that was 225,162 acres in Montana. And it says that they also apparently are preparing for future escape plans with vacation homes in remote locations. Many of them have private planes ready to depart at a moment's notice. Well, that's true of any of them at any point. You know, these are the 1% people. Also said billionaire Bill Gates recently acquired 28,000 acres in Arizona to create his own city called Belmont. And did a little bit of research on that before recording. Yeah, that's still in the plans. And apparently it's going to be one of those 15-minute cities or whatever it is. Everything controlled. So I guess that's his, own little micro kingdom. Of course, we know that he's trying to do the whole world in that. It says internationally, moguls in Australia and New Zealand have been snapping up farmland at record paces. And the interest in cattle, dairy, and agricultural farms are all proving tempting for self-sustained survival. It says, more importantly, the wealthy are preparing for safe escape havens, stockpiling real estate in dry areas, and moving away from the old school approach of storing food and water. Money and precious metals will be useless if everything collapses, as sustainable territory will become the new necessary luxury. Many have installed helipads on their properties for easy access, and many more buying up silos and bunkers around the world. Yeah, so New World Order, more than likely. And with the, let me go through here as far as, they also feature some of the Scallion maps. And if I can try to go in between on some of these things, I'm not going to go into detail on what the prediction of the maps show. because it could freak some people out, and I'm aware of that. And even Art Bell, when he would feature, Gordon Michael Scallion, he would tell people, it's like, look, if this type of subject matter freaks you out, don't listen to it. So, he was cognizant of that. And so this is America, and you can see how some of the different coastlines have changed drastically. And because I have got this it's very small on my screen. So you will have to look and read for yourself on these things. And like I said, you can see as far as vast changes, supposedly. Now, this was supposed to occur before the year 2000. And I've wondered before, are these people, did they miss the dates? And we don't know. All I know is it has not happened to date. So, interesting stuff. And a lot of the island nations, they were in some trouble. They really were. And that's another shot as far as America that goes along the coastline up through Canada. Yeah, you up there in Canada, you're not getting by unscathed. I mean, and we don't know. And I'll come back to that one here in just a minute. So, like I said, you can go and look at those at your leisure. But Africa, according to Scallion, said that it would be divided into 3 parts. Asia said that this highly seismic region is supposed to have the most severe and dramatic earth changes. India, it said, due to extreme land buckling and lowering of elevation of the country, the population of India will be told to head to the Himalayas, to Tibet and Nepal and China. Okay, well, you saw what was this map on China. It says Antarctica will become fertile, soil-rich, and farming territory. Well, there are those that think that the that the interior of Antarctica is already like that. Australia will lose nearly 25% of its land due to coastal flooding. And then New Zealand will grow in size, will once again join the land of old Australia, and will quickly become the glory land and ultimately become one of the safest areas in the entire world. So the Kiwis, y'all could be the blessed peoples. And they're in Europe. Were supposed to experience the fastest and most serious of earth changes. Well, you've got a lot of places over there that are basically islands anyhow. Canada, parts of the northwest region, supposed to be pushed in almost 200 miles. And then the United States, as the North American plate buckles, the new islands of California will be created with almost 150 islands. And I know that if you look at the map up close, that the New Madrid fault line, which is there, the Mississippi, that was dividing, the interior and stuff of the United States. I've wondered about the New Madrid fault line for about 10 years now. I'm just sort of iffy about it. It makes me kind of nervous. In Mexico, most coastal areas will be inundated far inland. Central America and Caribbean will sink and will be reduced to a series of islands. South America, heavy earthquake and volcanic activity was supposed to take place. And again, all the links will be in the description box, including the one for an Art Bell program where he was interviewing Gordon Michael Scallion. The link that I've got, I can't promise you for sure that it was the specific one where he was talking about the earth changes, but more than likely it was. And now Scallion was dead serious. He thoroughly believed that this was what he was seeing. I thoroughly believe he was seeing something, but apparently his time frame was off, or his vision was off. Something happened. Another one of the supposed seers that Art Bell had on, I had never heard of her before, and it sort of surprised me because, at one time I was part of the New Age community. I can, gladly say that God delivered me from that. But her name was Liberatore, Toye. And that is one of the most annoying women that I have ever tried to listen to, because it was this total New Age, airy-fairy. Yeah, you just wanted to slap her. I mean, honestly. But she had this, and supposedly her visions came before those of Scallion. I don't know. Scallion had more traction as far as people listening to him than she did. She had these I Am America maps. And let me go back over here and I'll show you that, if I can do what I need to do. I hit the wrong thing. Hotkeys. I have learned what hotkeys are, folks. Maybe. There it is. And that was what her new world was going to be called, was Freedom Star. And you can look at even the color scheme on that, and it's like, oh God. Anyhow, the I Am America map sold more than 40,000 copies, because there's a sucker born every minute. And there's a website, and I think I have included that, and it says sold out, but the cost of the maps had been $225 a piece. Okay, if you sold 40,000 of those, that would total $9 million, and that was not counting the book sales, because all these people have book sales and deals and all this stuff. And fear definitely does sell. So within this, it's interesting to read. It's interesting to ponder. Nobody knows. Even with the science, we've seen what the science can do and how often it can get it wrong. So if there's some kind of bubbles coming up through the floor of the ocean, may mean something, may mean nothing. Maybe the ocean floor just had gas. We don't know. So don't get upset about that. Until there's something to truly get upset about, why? Why would you? See, I can sit here and I can ponder these things with you all and laugh about them and giggle about them. And sometimes youngest kid can't, because he's 24 years old. And the thought of everything blowing up, I mean, I think about these kids a lot. Those of us that are older, it's just sort of like, oh, okay, whatever. But a 24-year-old, or some of these that are younger, I think a lot of this stress is that has a great effect on the mental health. Well, we know that it does. And maybe they have gotten so, nihilistic that they do whatever, because why would you not? I mean, growing up during Vietnam, it was always that. I guess it was memento mori every day of all my life. And even in the 80s, I was listening to the song by Prince, 1999, the other day. And, we're going to party like it's 1999. And it was talking about the bomb dropping and stuff. So there's never been a time that did not have stress, that did not have some kind of the world is going to end theme to it. Live today. Live today. So, if you've had experiences with paranormal or supernatural, encounters with UFOs, aliens, cryptids, send me an email, cupofcoffeewithscream@gmail.com. And like I said, links will be in the description box. The email address is in there also. Hopefully, Kid will be better. He's going to he's going to be out of town over the weekend, so you all are going to be stuck with me on this. I will try not to totally overmodulate. I thought I had fixed my level, but welcome to Diagnose. Like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. The main thing is know that you're loved. That's each and every day. I always go through with that somebody someplace, even if it's this little mountain goth lady, that she loves you. And that's for real. Lord willing, we'll see you on the next cup. Bye.